Now we will take a look at the PollVote component. PollVote component will be responsible for showing the options to the user which they can pick and vote for, or on the other hand, if they already voted, they will show the results in some kind of chart. For this we are going to generate a new component with Angular CLI, ng-generate component, and we call it PollVote. After we can see the PollVote directory has been created, and we can again delete the tests as we don't need them. The PollVote component will be our detail. So if you look at the website, we want the PollVote component to display exactly in this area in the detail view. Meaning when we select a certain poll, then the details will be shown in this area. In this component, we would like to show probably the question, the poll question, the voting options which the user had, and also button to submit. So let's create the title first, which we can call poll question title. Then we'll have a form inside which we will have the options, which would be the radio buttons in this case. So we can create a div of class form check, which is bootstrap class. And then this div would be wrapping the input and the label. The input would be of type radio. We also give it some styling, which is form check input. And then we will have the label. And we'll give a class form check label, and this would be the label for the radio button. In order to test this, let's head to app component and replace the detail with the app PollVote, which is the component which we just created. And let's see how it looks like. And we can see we have the title and we have the option. So now we need to also add the button and hook it up with the reactive forms. So let's go back to TypeScript file and create the form. Let's call it vote form, and the type is form group. And we'll also need the constructor where we inject the form builder like we did in the previous component. And inside we initialize the vote form, and this will be equal to form builder new group. And inside here we will have just one value because we want to know which radio button was selected. So we can call this selected because you can only choose one option from 3 different options. And this will be equal to form group control. Initially it will be nothing, and we will require this value. That's why we also set validators to required. And we will also need the function for submitting the form. So let's create it. Let's call it submit form. And we just console log the value of the form just to see that it works. I will just make more spaces here. And let's also include some sample data so we can see the 3 different options. So let's call this options, and this will be an array of, let's say, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And save, and let's go back to the template. So again, the first thing is to define the form group, which is our vote form. Set the ng submit. What happens on submitting the form? We want to execute the function which we created, submit form, which will just console log the values. And now the trick comes because we want to generate the amount of radio buttons equal to amount of options. So for this, we are going to repeat this div. So that means we will go with ng4 and let option of options. We'll also need to know the index. So we can say let I equals index. This will give us access to specific index at which the ng4 is currently at. And for the input, we need to set it to form control name, and all of them will be set to selected. And the value of each radio button will be equal to the index. So that means when we select first option, then we should get 0. When we select second option, we should get 1, and so on. We save, and for the label, we just display the whatever is the value of the option, which in this case would be the name. After we have generated the radio buttons, we also need some submit button, which means it's button of type submit. We will give it some class, such as button secondary, and we'll get some margin from top so it's not so close to the form of margin top 3. And we call it submit vote. We also want to make sure that this button is only enabled, that we are able to submit the form when the user selected some radio button. So we will disable this button when the vote form is not valid. So we put this symbol right here. That means if our form is not valid, the button will be disabled. And how it knows that our form is not valid? Well, in case the does not have any value, we have this validator. So initially it has no value, that means it will be not valid, and when we select radio button, then it will have value of index from 0, 1 or 2. We save, go back, check our website, and we can already see we have some options. So let's open our console and see if that works. We can see initially when we are pressing the submit button, nothing is happening, but when we select, let's say, Tuesday and click submit vote, we can see that selected is set to 1, index 1. When we select Monday, it should be set to 0, and it indeed it is. And when we select the last one and submit the vote, the selected is set to 2. So it is working as expected. But we are not done yet, because in this component, not only that we will need to set up the inputs and outputs later on, but in this component we'll either show the options if the user did not vote, but if the user voted, we also want to show the chart with the results. So this component is also responsible for displaying the charts.